The Sports Scouting Report with Lee Burkeen. Brought to you by
Give the Bugman a call. We get them before they get you.
Harvey Auto in Shreveport, Bossier City, the name you have trusted for years. Here's your host, Lee Burkeen.
Hi everyone, we got a great show today promoting North Desoto High School. They made it to a state championship game last year. The first time in the history of the school. Dennis Dunn's the head coach who's joining us, and their quarterback, who's only a sophomore that started in that state championship game as a freshman. And we're going to talk about their team. They got a lot of talent coming back. They're hungry, and they got a chance to go back and play for another state championship this year. But we'll be back with more of the Sports Scouting Report podcast. We'll have Dennis Dunn join us and the quarterback, Luke Delafield, who's a great young quarterback. We'll talk about him when we come back. We'll be right back.
Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you.
Welcome back. You're watching the Sports Scouting Report podcast. Be sure to subscribe, share, and give it to your friends. I mean, we're growing. We're doing this statewide. I'm actually living out of a suitcase for like a month, but I love it. And Dennis Dunn will tell you that. He might call me crazy sometimes, but I remember calling Dennis Dunn before we start talking to Dennis, and I was doing a radio show in Baton Rouge in 1991. And I called Dennis, and I didn't know Dennis Dunn. And he was at Woodlawn, and he had a guy named Tyrone Frazier, who was Player of the Year in the country. And he had a guy named James Gilliard. He had all these great players at Woodlawn. And I said, can we get you on in Gilliard on a radio show? And he said, I'm practicing this week and that week. He said, we'll do it. I said, thank God you're my first guest ever. And here we are, 2023, Coach, from 91. And you went from Woodlawn to 9 state championships at Evangel. You were phenomenal at Louisiana College, which is now Louisiana Christian. I keep wanting to say Louisiana College. You were incredible there in Pineville. You coached at Pineville. North Desoto, you lead them to the state championship game within the first 2-3 years, which is incredible. And you still have that fire in you to coach. You still at it like you're 25 years old.
Well, Lee, you make me feel old talking about 19.
I didn't call you old, Coach. I call you.
Maybe. But I remember very well you making that call, and it seems like yesterday. And we so appreciate you, but it's been fun watching the evolution of the Lee Burkeen show and everything you've done for high school football and high school athletics throughout the state for all of these years, and what you're doing now to promote the kids of Louisiana, the student athletes of Louisiana is just remarkable, and we're honored to be with you today on this show, and I hope I can interview with you a few more times.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm with you on that, and I want to mention this, that our preview on North Desoto, the team preview football, we're not printing a magazine this year for the first time in 27 years, but it's free on our website. So I know mom and daddies like that because they don't have to go to a store and buy one. And they could just type in lafootballmagazine.com. North Desoto is being previewed, the whole team. We even have the tidbits on coach's background, which it'd take 3 shows to go over all this stuff. But it'll go deep, and we've got his star quarterback with us, Luke Delafield. Thank you, Luke, for being here today.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
What do you think of all this old talk of through the years? And
Y'all were talking about back in the 1990s. I wasn't even.
You were not even a thought at that time, yeah.
I don't even think my parents had met then. Maybe they just had started dating. I don't know. But,
speaking of your quarterback, and I've had this talk with you the other day, and I had my own little vision of like, oh, here are the quarterbacks I've seen: Robert Lane, Craig Nall, Josh Booty, Brent Rawls at Evangel, went to Oklahoma. And then I'm thinking outside the box in New Orleans and Ryan Perilou, Baton Rouge, the Chad Loops, and all the great quarterbacks. And I see this young man play last year. I put on a tape, and I'm like, he's got some it to him.
Yeah.
Like not just D1, but he's got a chance to be incredible, huh, Coach?
Well, people have asked me to compare him to the guys that I've had in the past, and when I first saw him began to mature, I watched him as an elementary guy, and then in middle school, I said, this, you know, as you said, there's something. But then when I got to work with him as a freshman and saw him progress and saw him mature and everything that he was able to accomplish on the field and off the field, just his presence and his poise under pressure, you know, I didn't compare early on, but about midway through the season, into the playoffs, I started saying, okay, this guy definitely is on that list of some of the ones that I've coached. And you mentioned a few, but when you start talking about, you know, John David Booty and Josh Booty and Brent Rawls, Brock Berlin and Philip Dees, and for Luke Delafield to be mentioned in that list says a whole lot. But I can say, having coached all those guys, he's on that list and has a chance to be as good as I've ever been around.
And you're alumnus of Woodlawn, and Terry Bradshaw, Joe Ferguson, John Booty, the dad who went to state.
Right.
I mean, on and on. Stan Humphreys at Southwood that you knew, saw, who didn't finish at LSU, went to NLU, played for the Chargers in the Super Bowl. But Luke, not the pressure, but I can tell that you're very mature about all this, and I can read that real quick. And you got to be mature to play for this man in a state championship game as a freshman. Yeah. What was that like for you? What are you, 14?
15.
At 15?
Yes,
But he was 14 when he played.
Right. I mean, when the season started, you're 14. You're playing varsity football. You take your team. I know you're part of the team, but obviously quarterback has a lot to do with the team getting there. And y'all play in the Superdome for the first time in the history of North Desoto.
You know, to me, I just treat it like it's another game.
Yeah.
Nothing really special about it other than the fact you're in the biggest stadium in Louisiana. But
Yeah.
you can't let that get to you. You just got to treat it like another game. And at the end of the day, you just got to compete and go out there and do what you're coached to do. So.
Very humble kid, and you're going to handle this great, because I've met them all, and you kind of look like John David Booty, doesn't he? A little bit.
And it reminds me a lot of Brock too.
Brock.
Yeah.
But you got a chance. I mean, you have a chance to be the #1 player in the United States in 3 years. Isn't it crazy? You got 3 more years of high school football.
And he really does, Lee. I mean, he has all of those. You mentioned the intangibles, but his cerebral ability to navigate coverages and know what everybody on the offensive side of the ball is supposed to be doing, to have that level of maturity to be his age is uncanny. I mean, I coached one, at this level at his age. And so if he continues to progress and mature and stay humble and hungry, like you've mentioned, I think he's got a chance to be as good as I've ever coached.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, I've got to ask Luke. I mean, I grew up in Baton Rouge. I got to ask Luke, like, what colleges did he grow up liking? And look, I'm the one that's not into the recruiting when guys commit as sophomores. I'm the guy that I love when they commit it later on. But everybody has a kid's school, right, growing up. And so I'll come back and ask Luke if he had a school growing up. And then Dennis probably already knows that answer, but we'll be right back.
What does that bug man do?
Not only do we do pest control, we do odor control, bat removal, moisture control, rodents, and of course, bed bug control. Give the bug man a call. We get them.
Welcome back. You're watching the Sports Scouting Report podcast, and our guest is Dennis Dunn, future Hall of Fame high school coach in Louisiana, currently at North DeSoto. If you don't know where that's at, look, I'm from Baton Rouge, and I know where that's at. You leave Natchitoches, you head towards Shreveport, you see Keithville, and you see a couple other towns, and you see a big car dealership on the exit, and you go up the mountain, and you see a beautiful facility, North DeSoto High School. And this guy here, head coach Dennis Dunn, has brought some good pressure to himself. He's been in the state championship game, runner-up, and you have a chance to go back this year, have some good players. Luke, who is that school or two that you grew up as a kid like admiring?
Obviously LSU. I mean, you know, when I was growing up, they had that 2012 team that was really good. Didn't end up winning it, but they had Honey Badger and all of them. You know, I loved watching them. And then obviously in 2019, Joe Burrow.
Joe, wow.
Yeah, I just love LSU. It's my dream school.
How could anybody coach not like Joe Burrow?
No, Joe Burrow was, you know, there's second to none when you talk about what he did and what he accomplished, and I think he's probably the most celebrated, at least football player in the history of LSU. But you know, I think he will go down as the legendary status of being the best ever athlete in Louisiana history, and that's saying a lot. And for these guys to have watched that and experienced that is pretty amazing.
I'm not an NFL fan. I mean, I'll watch games, you know, the Saints, and I'm not as much Cowboys as a lot of people here, and I understand that. But I watch the Bengals because of Joe Burrow.
Right, so do I.
And Coach, I never watched the Bengals. Maybe Kenny Anderson way back, maybe Bo Harris or something.
Yeah.
But I'll watch every Bengals game like a college fan, because I can't wait to see Joe lead his team with no offensive line.
Right.
And two good receivers. I mean, he doesn't have the parts yet, and he's almost been to 2 Super Bowls in a row.
Right. Well, you got Jamar Chase, who's also a Tiger.
Right.
So you really,
right.
They've endeared, the Bengals have endeared they're endeared to our hearts now because of the LSU connection.
What I am going to do, I'm contacted the Bengals when I'm done with all the high school interviews. I'm going to go up to Cincinnati to do an interview with Joe. So I know all the kids love that, and I'm going to try and do that in Jamar.
Well, and I have a special interest in them because of Trent Taylor. You know, Trent
yes,
is an evangelist.
Yes.
I played at Louisiana Tech,
yes.
so
I want to ask you about that
later. That's a family
later.
connection, and we have a receiver that reminds me of Trent Taylor that Luke throws to by the name of Cole Corey. That I think
you love him.
I think he's as good as Trent and Wes Welker. He's phenomenal.
And look, I want to mention this about Trent Taylor. I knew he played for you, and I knew he was like Thomas Bachman, one of those guys. But he didn't drop one punt for the Bengals last year.
Yeah, that's why he still has a contract.
I mean, you know how hard that is. I mean, he didn't drop one. I mean, they hang time it in the league,
Right.
and you got to really catch it.
Right.
And he didn't drop when he had a few good returns, and he's like that fourth receiver for him.
Yeah.
And but Luke, what do you need to work on? You're not a sophomore until the season starts in, I don't know, a couple of weeks, technically for football. But from here on, you just got to go up, and you got to try and take the team back and see what you can do, huh?
Right, yes, sir. You know, last year we didn't finish how we wanted to. You know, it kind of leaves a sour taste in our mouth. But, you know, we got some leaders on the team that were there last year. We got Cole Corey, Lake Bates on the defensive side of the ball, Brian Tyler McMillan. And, man, them guys are hungry. I mean, that leaves a sour taste in your mouth. You've never been there before. And we only lost by 3, but it felt like we got our teeth kicked in, you know. So, we're definitely going to go back and come home with some jewelry on our fingers.
Let me ask you this. And this will be a fun question, and ask Coach Dunn this. The SEC's got so many great programs now. I mean, even South Carolina's good. You know, even Tennessee's back, and A&M has been through some ruts. They got a good team. Oklahoma and Texas is joining it. Wow. You like LSU, but if you had a second SEC team, since they dominate the whole country now, do you have a second SEC team to go? I want to go to their camp one day.
Well, so right now it's Mississippi State.
Wow.
They've
Wow.
shown some interest in me. I went up there last summer, kind of toured the campus a little bit. You know, it was nice. Went to their junior day.
They're going to love hearing this because you have a chance to be the number 1 player in the country in 3 years as a quarterback.
I love the campus, and it was very nice.
You know, they got a 6-year quarterback right now.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Who's broken every record in Starksville.
Yeah.
A lot of bubble screens, but he's broken every record.
That's good.
We got a couple of guys in the hall right now. One guy that loves State a lot.
Really?
Yeah, went to Mississippi State. He's smiling ear to ear when you said that. But what do you think about your teammates? You're talking about Corey, and I know y'all lost some really talented defensive linemen, Y'all got some good guys coming back. What about the teams? I mean, y'all play some tough teams, Luke.
Yeah, we got Airline week 1. They're going to be very good. They're very well coached. They got some athletes. But, I mean, we got athletes too, and we're very well coached as well. And like you said, the D-line, we lost a very, very talented defensive line last year. But, you know, the D-line we got coming in after those guys are good too, and they're very well coached. They're going to do everything right. So I think we're going to be pretty tough to beat.
What's the best food you've had on your visits? Have you taken some visits where you're trying different foods all over the state?
Also, well, I mean, it's not anything different, but in terms of like food they were giving us, when I went to Mississippi State, they gave us Chick-fil-A, and I'm a big Chick-fil-A.
Are you?
So, you know,
What about the cowbells?
there's a lot of cowbells.
A lot of them?
Yeah, it's loud, but I like it. You know, I love that stuff. I live for it. So.
Well, we're at Harvey Toyota Day in Bossier City, and got a guy here right now that's really smiling ear to ear to hear the Mississippi State deal. But he's an LSU guy too. He's a really big time LSU fan in Mississippi State. But Coach, we're gonna take a break, come back. I want to talk an old story with Coach Dennis Dunn and talk about quarterbacks. Speaking of quarterbacks, who he thinks is the top quarterback in college football now coming up. Give Coach some time to think about it. We'll be right back.
Gros Savon Lodge, the true sportsman's paradise. Gros Savon Lodge has fresh and saltwater fishing, alligator hunting, waterfowl hunting, and eco tours located south of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Give them a call at 337-598-2357. That number to call again is 337-598-2357, and have the time of your life.
Welcome back. We're at Harvey Toyota in Bossier City, Louisiana. If you need an SUV, you need anything, they'll take care of you. They'll treat you right here at Harvey Toyota, and all his dealerships here on Benton Road, 2901 Benton Road in Bossier City. I appreciate them allowing us to do the shows here for all the Shreveport and Bossier teams. They're big sports fans, high school and college football. I think they even like a little pro football here. And we've got Dennis Dunn, a coaching legend here with us, and Luke Delafield, who's one of the top quarterbacks in the country, led his team to a state championship as a 14-year-old freshman. I got to ask you this. When the dome and the lights came on and the bands start playing in the dome and it's packed, about 25,000 people, what are you getting up for that? Are you a little nervous or what?
I mean, I'm nervous before every game. You know, when we go out and practice, we're doing live, I'm nervous, you know. But I feel like nerves are good. Like you're laser focused. I feel like when you're more nervous,
Yeah.
focused you are. And, I'm not gonna lie to you, it was loud in there.
Loud, huh?
Everything echoed.
Did you like that turf compared to the grass?
Yeah, it was nice. It was very nice. It was a 10 out of 10 experience for sure, other than not winning.
I mean, 6'2" right now. No telling how big Luke's going to get. Great arm, throw the out route, poise, knows the defense. Like Coach says, can check off the number 1 read as a freshman. He's going to be a big kid and can run. Can run.
Yeah, he can. I mean, the other intangibles was, you know, the great ones always keep their eyes up, and that's something that's hard to coach. You know, you feel the pressure. You don't watch the pressure.
Makes your job a lot.
Yeah. And he came in being able to do that, and I think that's a God-given ability. But you know, I think he's right there with some of the best in college football today. You know, you're talking about Caleb Williams at USC, who I think is probably the best college player right now. I mean, I think this guy's name will be mentioned among those names. You know, again, I mean, there's still a lot of high school football left for him to be played, and there's still a lot of growth and maturity. But again, humble, hungry, keeps priorities in straight. God, family, then football. You know, I think that gives him an opportunity to be extremely special and have a long future in this game.
Coach Dunn, you're a guru of quarterbacks and offenses. How can you be a top 10 program and not have a great quarterback today with all the good quarterbacks we have just in Louisiana, just in Shreveport, Bossier?
Well, you got to have that guy. You know, no matter what offense you run, you got to have a field general. And it's very difficult to have the level of success that would put you on the state map without a guy like that. So there are a lot of really good quarterbacks in this area, and a lot of special programs, a lot of really good coaches that know how to get the ball to athletes in space. But you gotta have a trigger man to be able to do that. But these guys in the area coaching, there's some coaching geniuses in my opinion, just right here in Northwest Louisiana, but not to mention around the state. I think Louisiana high school football has obviously some of the best coaches in America, and we'll have the winningest coach in America from Louisiana here this year.
JT Curtis.
So JT's a longtime friend of mine, and that'll be a special opportunity to watch that history being made.
I want to mention this too, and speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up, Coach Dunn, is that not only will he be the all-time winningest high school coach in America, JT Curtis, he'll get the 6 wins. Coach Cook at Notre Dame is in the top 15 in the country too.
Yeah.
We've got 2 of the top 15 in the United States.
Both those guys are really good friends of mine, and they're even better people than they are coaches. And
Hightower is right in that top 20 too.
My claim.
You're close too
well,
now.
my claim to fame against those guys is I'm undefeated against all of them.
Whoa. You got them, huh?
I'm 1-0 against JT.
You can bring it up, huh?
2-0 against Louis, so don't let them hear that.
And I know you're humble, but how many state championship games have you coached in?
11.
11. Yeah. And it won't be the last one.
Hopefully.
No, it won't be the last one. Coach Dennis Dunn, North DeSoto. Luke Delafield, quarterback, is going to be a sophomore. Likes LSU. Mississippi State, interesting. They play early on in this season. You going to go to that game?
I think so.
Where's it played at? To kind of test you. Where do you think that game? Where's it played at?
Is it at State?
State.
I think it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so.
I'm sure they're going to invite you.
Yeah.
Coach Dunn might go too, huh? Might go over there.
I'll tag along.
You'll tag along and go. Give them some pointers. Appreciate you, Coach.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Lee.
Good to meet
Appreciate
you,
all
Luke.
do.
Good to meet you, and look, hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen.
Thanks for watching the Sports Scouting Report with Lee Burkeen.